Elizabeth Fortune, and my husband Griffin Coop and I have been members of St. Margaret's for about 15 years. And we were brought to St. Margaret's through my brother and his wife, Mark and Shay Fortune, when their son Clem was baptized. From the first time we went to a church service at St. Margaret's 15 years ago, we've been members ever since. I mean, in general, I guess it's probably like it is for everyone, just kind of, you stay in quarantine. Sometimes those feelings of isolation, but, honestly, it wasn't too different already from our daily lives, just because, one, I had a pretty serious hospitalization in January, and I got out the end of January, and my doctor had told me, he's like, the flu season is really bad. You cannot risk coming back in the hospital. You don't go out. So we were kind of already just the two of us, like, staying in more. But in running a nonprofit together and both working from home, some of that we were already kind of used to always being in the house together. But the difference for us is when we got on each other's nerves, someone could leave. So some of those little things that and there's just something that even if you work together, all of a sudden you're forced to be in the house together, and you're like, you are always here. But I mean, in general, it's okay. But I think just because quarantining and isolation isn't entirely something new for us. For us, it's that indefinite time period of, we don't really know, at least for the two of us, when life is going to take back some form of normalcy. And I think there are a lot of things, at least for the two of us, that have just changed permanently in how we behave and things that we do and places that we go, that it's kind of like after whatever it's been, like 7 months, it's like, I don't know that I really ever need to go back to X, Y, and Z. I made a note, so I was going to look. Okay, yeah, this was something that I did want to mention, that I feel like it probably has given me a better appreciation for the concept that we're all in this together. When you're sick and you have your own struggles, it's, at least for me, like, it's easy for me to get bogged down in what Griffin and I are going through, and it's just the two of us, and I get bogged down in us. But there's something to be said for realizing, like, with the pandemic, it's not about me, and it's not about me and Griffin. Like, I feel like you have to get outside of yourself. I mean, it's probably been 2 years since we've actually been able to go in person. I've stayed active through some of, like, the women's group stuff, and I do like the knitting, but doing like a regular Sunday service, which has just been tough. I would say pre-pandemic, not very good, just because in that time there have been a lot of questions of faith, which is one of the reasons why I've always loved the Episcopal Church. And not every, I don't feel like every church is like this, but the Episcopal Church, and especially St. Margaret's, there's room for those questions. And I feel like we've always had wonderful priests throughout the 15 years I've been there who allow that room and who walk with you in those questions. Especially St. Margaret's, one of the things that I appreciate is that even though we haven't been there in person for 2 years, Mary's never turned her back on us. And people of the church have never turned their back on us. And when we've needed something, they've been there. And when I needed a priest in January, Mary was there for me and for my husband. during the pandemic, I would say things have actually strengthened for me because the church has had to pivot and how they offer services and how they offer worship and how they offer that faith community. And it's actually been easier for me to participate in different services and participate in worship in a way that fits me and when I'm healthy and when I'm able to participate in it. I think it's just that general shifting of everything to online and finding, okay, what can we do? Like everything looks different, nothing's the same. How do we shift everything and keep people involved? I think the biggest thing that we've given up, so not eating out, like not going into restaurants, which was a huge thing for us. I'm not even going to admit how bad it was. But, you know, and for a very long time at the beginning of the pandemic, like we wouldn't even do curbside. Like, I don't care how safe somebody tells me, we're not doing anything. And so for us to cook every single meal, every single day, or I mean, even if, I mean, cook, I mean, maybe it was a turkey sandwich, but to cook or make every single meal, every single day was a huge thing for us. So giving that up, but on a deeper level, what I had to give up was like my control in the kitchen. If we're eating every single meal that we make in this house, like I have to let that go. And I think it surprised my husband because I remember the first time like there was something I really wanted to make and I'm like, this is not turning out. And the whole meal was going to be this like one thing. And I'm like, I can't even deal with this. We're just not even going to make this. I'm like, maybe we can just like make a quesadilla or something. And my husband was like, who are you? Like, what happened to the wife who would like freak out and stress out? And I'm like, it is, I mean, I can't do, and it's so fake because it's like, I know it's so worn out in the last few months, but it is what it is. And it's like, I can't do anything about it. And if my pizza dough didn't turn out, it didn't turn out. Like, I can't deal with that right now, you know? All these like little rules in my head that I had about like when we eat or what we eat or whatever, like all of a sudden, I'm like, my husband's like, you know, that's not how you used to be. I'm like, I know. I'm easy breezy now. This one's really hard for me to answer just because I don't know how much is going to change for me post-pandemic to being able to worship in person. But I do know that, you know, the church, you know, if the church continues with like the evening worship or I guess really like I'm just looking forward to seeing if the church maintains kind of like the virtual presence that they've shifted to during this time. And hopefully there's still a need for it because I'm thinking that there are other people in the church like me, who it is difficult to get out and go to a service in person. In terms of like faith community and spiritual practice, I'll always be involved in the knitting group. That's been one of the most important ministries to me through the church because like I said, like it's been something that when I've been able to go, it's helped keep me connected to the church. And those women have all been there for me and my girlfriend through my various health issues. And so, and there's something about like when I'm knitting a prayer shawl or knitting a hat for someone, like you just feel like I just feel like a deeper spiritual connection to the church and to whoever receives the knitted gift that I've made, somebody that I might never meet or never know. It's one of the reasons why um, I I do think it's important to always give to the church, because I want to make sure that the church has the resources that they need to keep offering a community of faith in a way that reaches the most people. The church has been there for me and my husband when we've needed a church family the most. And the only way to make sure that the church continues to be there for us, but continues to be there for others, whether it's within the church community or in the community on a larger sense, like within Little Rock, because I mean, you kind of have to give. I'm going to use the word obligation, and I don't want it to sound like obligation meaning burden, but I was raised from a very early age. If you go to the church, it's your obligation to give. As I've gotten older and realized the church isn't just about me going to a service on Sunday mornings, and really finding that church community the last 15 years of St. Margaret's, you know, it does take financial resources to make sure that they're able to continue offering other resources to everybody. I know there have been so many good things happen in the last few years at St. Margaret's, and I like seeing the church continue to grow in all the ways that it's growing, through the people, through the services, through the physical building. And I've enjoyed seeing the church realize some of the plans that were talked about 15 years ago when I joined. When pandemic started, everything seemed like, whoa, can we do this? But now here it is, October, and we're like, oh, well, not only can we, it looks like we're going to keep doing Zoom meetings, or we're going to keep doing Zoom book club, or we're going to keep doing live stream services or whatever for the foreseeable future. And I'm kind of excited to just kind of see how St. Margaret's continues to embrace the change and kind of grow from there.